Welcome to Coach's Corner Athletic Director Edition. John Stako being joined by Iona College Director of Athletics, Matt Glovaski. Matt, how you doing?
I'm doing well, John. How are you? Thanks for having me.
No problem. Interesting time for all of us, and especially for yourself, dealing with a lot of different variables, and some of which that we know, some of which that we don't know at all. So today's conversation is going to be to kind of shed some light on the things that are happening at Iona College and give everyone kind of an update about how the campus is doing and how the athletics department is doing. So first off, I just want to open up. How are you adjusting to the self-isolating life, to quarantine? You yourself are a father of a couple young ones as well as handling all your work responsibilities. So how are you handling it?
Yeah, we're doing well. I appreciate you asking. I think it's obviously been a really unique time for everyone, and you look back and really over the last 5 weeks, so much has happened. But I think we're controlling the things we can control. As you mentioned, I got two young ones at home. I've got a 4.5-year old, and I've got a 17-month. And I are kind of building out a schedule every day so we can get work done. And we've got homeschool going on for my oldest, and my little guy's running around, and he's happy to have mom and dad home more. And so we're just trying to make the best of it. And I think throughout this you gain a unique perspective. And obviously, while it's really challenging times, it's also nice to be home with family and kind of spend time with my little ones. So we're doing well, and looking forward to hopefully sometime soon getting back to some sense of normalcy.
So what has your typical day been like with this new temporary normal, adjusting so many different things, as you mentioned, the homeschooling, for instance, something you didn't have to used to do before, but now you have to. So you personally, how are you balancing work, Zoom meetings, family, and everything like that?
Yeah, it's been interesting. It is. I have such a new appreciation for my son's teachers, and it's. I don't know if any day is the same. I think as much as we've tried to some routine, some structure. We try and kind of, like I said, build out a schedule every day. But it's been unique. We've basically moved all of our calls, to Zoom calls or conference calls, and so I try and schedule my day in the morning and the afternoon and try and make the majority of my calls. And the afternoon or early afternoon, we try and reserve for schooling for my son. And I don't know if I've ever spent as much time looking at the forecast, because any glimpse of sunshine is a beautiful thing right now. And we try and get outside, get a little fresh air, and exercise is such an important part of, just again, kind of keeping some normalcy and kind of getting you outside a little bit. So, every day's been unique, but, I feel like trying to be as, trying to get as much done as we can, trying to be really strategic with the time, and, put ourselves in a good place so that when we get back to normal, we're ready to hit the ground running.
Before we go forward, I have to ask, what's the toughest subject for your son in class? The toughest one for you to teach? Maybe learn something yourself.
Well, he's only 4.5. He goes to kindergarten next year. So right now it's a lot of letters, a lot of numbers. And so I think just trying to be creative with different ways to kind of engage him in that. But I give all the credit to my wife. She's been fantastic. She's got all these creative things that she does every day, and I'm just trying to kind of stay out of the way as much as I can. But it's been fun too.
Yeah, you're there for moral support whenever it's needed.
Yes, definitely.
So you mentioned communication. So I want to ask, how's the communication been with the athletic senior staff and also the institutional administration that you've been communicating with over this past month or so?
Yeah, it's a good question, and I think that's really the key of this whole situation right now, is keeping open lines of communication and making sure that you're touching base with all the really important constituent groups. So I'll just kind of start with from an athletic standpoint, what we try to do is move all of our regular meetings to really kind of regular Zoom meetings and then conference calls. And so we've got weekly calls with the senior staff, kind of a biweekly call with our administrative staff, our entire staff. We've had regular calls with the coaches. We're now starting to do some breakout sessions with our coaches, kind of seasonal coaches, so we can talk strategy and really kind of engage in the planning process. Obviously, no one has a crystal ball. We're not sure how this is all going to kind of move forward, but the best thing that we can do is be really productive with the time and plan as much as we can. So, I think we've been, as soon as we kind of saw how this was going to move early on, and that we knew that we would be operating remotely for some time, we as a staff, we kind of built a strategic plan, and everybody kind of took a look at how we could be really productive and really manage the time well. And so we've all got our goals. We've all got things that we're focused on. Obviously, the number one priority is from an academic standpoint, best positioning our student athletes, and that's a collective effort from our staff. But I think that we've kept open lines of communication. I think that the administration has done a great job. I think we're getting a lot of good things done. Every area is so important right now, and everybody's working on different things and focused on different projects. But, I think what I'm really proud of is when we do get back to campus and, when we return to some sense of normalcy, we'll have accomplished a lot and be in a really good place and really be able to, again, hit the ground running. From an institutional standpoint, again, I'm just really proud of how the college has responded, obviously starting with Dr. Carey, our president, who has just been a terrific leader during really challenging times. We've got a task force on campus that has been monitoring the situation really closely, and I think making, just really, really strong decisions based on the information, based on best supporting the interests of our students and student athletes alike. And we have a weekly President's Cabinet call where we talk about strategy and we talk about all the implications and how this affects our students. And obviously this is what normally is a busy time of year for us. You think about the spring and the culmination of so many things, first from an academic standpoint and all the work in the classroom. Then you think about from an athletic standpoint and all the hard work that goes in. And certainly when you think about our spring seasons and how those were affected, we've tried to do our best, I think, both as an institution and as an athletic department to keep those things very much at the forefront of our decisions. And, we want to be able to still continue to celebrate those things and be able to kind of hold all those things. We're just looking for the best way to do it. And when the timing is right, then we'll be able to continue with those things. But I think all that goes back to really, a lot of strategy, a lot of great conversation, everybody around the table just working very collaboratively. And so I think communication has been a real strong suit for us, and I know it will serve us well in the long run.
You mentioned academics a couple of times, and special shout out to Jamie, Rory, and Sarah, who've been working double time the academics department of the athletics staff. Can you just touch on how those three have helped with the transition to virtual learning and giving the student athletes all that they need to succeed academically during this interesting time?
Yeah, no question. They have been absolutely amazing. I can't give enough credit to Rory and Sarah and Jamie. Obviously, we went to a distance learning model. The focus became a hyper focus on how do we support our student athletes from, in a distance learning model, and not easy. Everybody's dealing with different circumstances, and we've got students who are learning, overseas. We've got students who are living off campus in their off campus apartments. We've got students who are back home with their families. And so, there's a lot of unique circumstances, and, to the credit of our academic team of Rory and Sarah and Jamie, they've done just an amazing job of putting together programs to support our student athletes. They've got regular Zoom calls with any students who might need additional assistance, working closely with the faculty to make sure that the resources are available to support our students and their different needs. And they're really working around the clock. I mean, this is obviously the priority, and we want to make sure that, again, we best position each of our students. And I know we're going to finish the semester in a great place, and that's really to the credit of our academic team and our coaches as well, who have really done a great job of, kind of embracing the new reality and using, Zoom to have regular calls and provide structure and routine for our students. And so, as much as a challenge as it's been for everyone, I'm just really proud of the efforts of the academic team and to our student athletes and coaches alike, who are all kind of adapting to this new world and making the most of a difficult situation. But they've been simply amazing, and we never lose sight of the challenges, that all of our students are going through. But just really, really proud of the way everybody's responded.
We talked about Iona Athletics. We talked about Iona College as the institution. And at the conference level, I'm sure you've been talking with all the ADs in the MAC as well as the Commissioner, Rich Enzer. So what's kind of the global consensus among the conference and the MAC about handling this crisis and moving forward?
Yeah, I think it's been great collaboration. We've got regular calls with the league. We've had breakout calls with the athletic directors where we've been talking about strategy and as best we can forecast what we think could happen. And I think that's obviously the biggest challenge is the unknown. And, certainly everybody's kind of speculating on what this will mean long term and when we're back on campus and all those kinds of things. And so the best thing that we can do right now is plan and just kind of talk about all the different possibilities so that when we do return, we are prepared. But again, I've just been really proud of the collaborative effort of all the schools in our conference. Everybody is very much focused on student athlete welfare and making sure that that everybody is very much working together so that when we do get back, we have a very united front, and we're best positioning everybody in the conference to do really good things. So, I think a lot of it is just kind of looking at and trying to answer as many of the questions as we can. I mean, there'll be so many new things when we get back to campus, and this is very much a new world that we're living in right now. And so much has happened over the last 5 weeks. But in the world of athletics, when you think about competition and you think about the circumstances relative to the coronavirus, there's a lot of questions. And so we've spent time focusing on safety and student athlete welfare and putting in preventative measures to ensure that when we are permitted to play games and competition again, that our fans are safe and our student athletes, officials, all those kinds of things that, we really want to make sure are at the forefront of everything that we're deciding on right now. So again, I think it's really kind of making sure that keeping open lines of communication, making sure that everybody in the conference has a really strong voice so that we're all working together, talking about all the different, possibilities so that when we have a better sense of the direction of this, we're all prepared to really kind of move together. So I think it's been really effective communication, and each week I think we get further and further in the process. And my hope is, sometime in the next few weeks when we have a little better clarity and a little stronger direction in terms of what this means for everybody, we'll be in a good position because we spent a lot of time kind of talking through all the different situations.
Over the past 5 weeks or so, as you mentioned, what's impressed you most about with how the student athletes are handling this experience, and kind of in my viewings, a lot of the optimism coming from them, really sharing the love of their teammates, sharing how much they miss being on campus. What have you seen from your perspective as the AD about the student athletes of Iona?
Well, I love that question. And I think more than anything, I have gained such perspective from really these last 5 weeks. And, I often kind of take a moment just to kind of think about what's happened in such a short amount of time. And, time is such a unique thing. And it's, just a couple of weeks ago, we were sitting at the MAC championships, and, we quickly saw what was happening in the NBA. And then from there, over the next 12 to 18 hours, so much had happened in the world of both professional and college athletics. And, I'm just so incredibly proud of the response of our student athletes, of our coaches, of our staff. When you take into account how much and how people were impacted, specifically our student athletes, our spring student athletes. And again, much like we had talked about, the culmination of all this hard work, 6.5 months of hard work, everything before that over the summer, all that they had done to be successful in the classroom, all of the work with strength and conditioning, their practices, team bonding, all the things that go into building a successful culture, and to kind of really lose that in the matter of just a couple hours. I can't even imagine. It's difficult to even put myself in the shoes of a student athlete having to kind of deal with those things. But what I've been so impressed with is their response. And I think what we always try and talk about and keep in focus is these moments don't define us, but how we respond do. And I think that the character and the pride of our student athletes, much like you talked about, how they have such optimism and they talk about the love of their teammates and their pride in representing the maroon and gold. I couldn't be more proud as the athletic director. I think that as much adversity and as much challenge as these times have given us, I think that we'll be stronger and better for them in the long run. And it's because we have such amazing people. And that starts with our student athletes who represent us so well in all the most important categories, right? The classroom, the field, the community. But most importantly, in times like this, where you have an opportunity to really show true leadership. And I think our student athletes have done such an exceptional job of that. I couldn't be more proud. And I'll tell you, when, there have been times throughout this where I think we've all probably had moments of, boy, this is just really tough. And I'm just, how am I going to kind of, I need some inspiration. I need something to really kind of get me excited. And every single time I need that, I simply go on social media, and to the credit of our great athletic communications team, which you're a tremendous part of, there's just great stories. And you go to our team pages and you see, like you said, just a celebration of all the great things that is being part of the Iona Gael family. And so again, as challenging as these times are, I'm just so incredibly impressed with how our student athletes have responded. And again, when you take into perspective everything that's happened, and I think about what the spring normally represents for us, which is the culmination of that hard work. You think about things like graduation. You think about our senior awards dinner, which is one of my favorite nights of the year. The opportunity to celebrate our seniors and their families and what they've meant to the Iona College family. Um, you know, those things are not lost in this, and those things will not be forgotten. Those are all things that will just take on a little bit of a new shape, and we'll take we're just going to postpone those things. There'll be a time to celebrate. But boy, it'll be such a poignant moment when we do have the opportunity to come back together and to celebrate, because again, I think we'll have had such a new perspective and such a new appreciation for what we all love to do. And I think we all recognize that what we're going through is much greater than athletics and games and things like that. But you just develop such an appreciation for what a special part of our lives that really is. And you see kind of what athletics means to the fabric of our society and how much it's missed. And boy, when we're back to doing it, it's going to be such a special time for all of us. And it'll just be another opportunity for all of our student athletes to showcase what makes them so special. So again, I couldn't be more proud. It's really been so motivational for me and given me such great perspective. And again, just a true appreciation for my opportunity to be as the athletic director, to be part of such a special group.
Well, as the last 5 weeks, a lot of things have happened. So now the natural question is, what's next for college sports, for Iona College, the institution, for New Rochelle, the community, which Iona is an integral part of. What's next in your mind going forward for the next couple of months?
Yeah, that is the question. And I think that's something that each of us is kind of pondering and kind of working through. I think the most important thing is to continue to kind of focus on the things that we can control, and which is, I think our attitude every day and having a really great optimistic outlook and celebrating the things that we love so much, which is our family and our community and everything that we love about being, part of an athletics family. But I think so much of it is about planning and being prepared, because nobody has a crystal ball. We don't know how this will conclude. It's going to be a transitional period even when we do get back to campus. And so how do we best position ourselves to be able to kind of navigate those challenges that will come up and to be able to kind of weather this storm? And so we're spending a lot of time talking with our coaches, spending a lot of time with the staff, forecasting the potential challenges ahead and forecasting what this potentially could mean for all of us, so that we're really well prepared and we've got a plan in place so that we can do great things and again, kind of weather the storm that is. So I think, the best thing again that we can do is really kind of just control the things we can from one day to the next. I think for our student athletes, it's really focusing on their academics and finishing strong. For our coaches, having a great plan in place and, staying really closely connected with our student athletes, which I know they are. And I'm really proud of those efforts. And, as things kind of, the things kind of start to change and we start to get a clearer picture of what's going to happen over the next couple months, I'm really proud of the fact that we'll have done a lot of work behind the scenes to put a really great plan together so that we'll be prepared to hit the ground running when we get back to campus and to welcome back all of our students and to do what we do, to do what we love the most, which is to represent the maroon and gold and go out there and showcase all the hard work and the talent that our student athletes and coaches showcase every day. And so I think as much as we can, it's finishing strong, it's being prepared and having a great outlook each and every day. I know our student athletes are doing great things in their communities, and that's so incredibly important right now because that's, again, what makes being part of the Iona family so special is paying it forward and being a really important part of the community. And that's not just in the New Rochelle area, but that's all across the globe as we have student athletes that represent us in all different areas. So I think it's about continuing to fight the good fight, most importantly, like we talk about. And I think that gives all new meaning right now as we go through some adversity. But again, I am very much an optimist, and I know that we've all prepared for challenging times like this, the different adversities that we've all faced, and we'll be better for this in the long run. We'll get through this together. And, I'm just really appreciative of the effort and the response by everybody. It's been really amazing. And I think that will serve us well in the long run.
Well, I couldn't have said any better myself. You stole my line, fighting the good fight. That's what all the Gaels are doing right now. So I want to thank you, Matthew Glovaski, Director of Athletics for Iona College. Thank you for joining us, and I hope your family stays safe over the coming months.
No, thanks so much. I really appreciate the time. And just again, to everybody out there in Gael Nation, all our best from my family to yours. Wishing you and your family, continued good health and good spirits. And can't wait to be back on campus with you all very soon. But in the meantime, go Gaels.